Good evening, everybody. It's night. We're a little late. Sorry about that. And we're few in number. I was kind of trying to hold on for a couple of people more, but not to worry. Thank you, everybody that has joined a little early as usual. Thank you. Uh, Tonight, I want to welcome you all, and I want to encourage you to continue to be a part of the meetings and to continue to share and to bring your friends. Tonight is going to be a special night because we're going to have a guest lecture, and that guest lecture is going to be done by Dr. Price. And he, of course, these meetings, while I am focusing on nutrition and making your body healthy, we still have to focus on that holistic approach, looking at how everything around us and how we respond to the things around us and and circumstances around us, and how these things can affect our bodies, so that we are either made or we are either broken, right? So it's not just nutrition that's good for prevention and healing of our bodies. There are things like exercise, there are things like air, and so he's going to be giving us a lecture on the holistic, a complete composite, right? So we're going to go right into the meeting, but as usual, um, I want to start with prayer. So let us pray. Father in heaven, thank you again that we have come together to be in each other's company and to learn and to magnify your name. Father, we thank you for the opportunity that we have to freely do these things. We just thank you for each person that has participated, and we thank you, Father, for each individual that continues to come. Bless everyone that's coming now. Please keep them in your will, keep them in your way, and help, Lord, that whatever we go through tonight will be a blessing to everybody. Bless the speaker, Dr. Price, as he goes through, and help us all, Lord, that we will benefit from it immensely. Thank you for hearing and thank you for answering in Jesus' name. Amen. So, as I said, we're having a guest this evening, and our guest is Dr. Price, and I'm going to turn over now to him. Just to say a little, he is actually the one of the medical consultants for this whole Zoom interaction for this whole program or series of programs. So tonight, I'm gonna get my rest tonight and just listen, and he's gonna give you. I know you will benefit immensely from it, and I know you'll enjoy it immensely too. All right.
All right, so good night, everyone. We'll be looking today at this seven.
All right, yes. Right.
We'll be looking today at the 7 laws of health. All right. For some of you, it will be a refresher course, and for others, some of the stuff will be new. Okay. Well, basically, if you put into practice the 7 principles that we'll be looking at today, you're guaranteed to have optimal health, a long life, a better quality of life, and a better quality of health. Just as an introduction, we use the acronym New Start, and it basically summarizes in minuscule the different aspects of the program that we need to focus on. And it's a nice little way to remember, how to incorporate these things on a daily basis in your lives. So the first one stands for nutrition. Right? So the N in New Start, the 7 laws of health, stands for nutrition. The second stands for exercise, right? Then we have water, then we have sunlight, then we have trust in God, then we have fresh air and rest and temperance. Okay, importantly, we must note that the New Start program is about health reform, and all of us need some sort of reformation in our lives with respect to our health and our approach to healthy living. Health reform is about obedience to the physical laws of God, and obedience to God's law always produce healing. As Dr. Price earlier said to you, it's important that we understand that God made all of us. And the fact of the matter is that since He made us, like a manufacturer who make, say, a car or a refrigerator, then he knows the intricate workings of these things, and he knows what is good for your health. And if you focus on God and focus on the Bible is replete with information, which, if we incorporate in our daily lives, it will provide health and healing. All right, so just to emphasize some more, if we pay attention to God's principles with respect to our health, you are guaranteed. It's a God's blessing will rest upon your efforts. So many people say that boy, I have to die from something, irrespective of what you do. I know people who pay attention to their health in detail, and they die from cancer, they die from different things. But the fact of the matter is that, like the Hebrew boys, for those of us who are aware of it, of that story in the Bible, if you follow God's principles with respect to health, the Lord will give you abundant blessing. If you pay attention to your health and to these 7 basic principles, it will relieve suffering. It will promote longevity or long life, and it will produce a better quality of life, not just quantity, but quality. The top 5 causes of illness and disease and early death in our society today is basically directed towards disregard for God's health principles. When we look at the major causes of death in our society, diabetes, hypertension, cancers, metabolic diseases, heart attack, kidney disease, and stroke. I met a lady just recently who has no medical problem, went to the doctor to get her health check and found that she was in kidney failure. All right. I mean, they're not able to say exactly what the cause is. I met another lady who had hypertension, poorly controlled, and end up having total damage to her kidney, and is on dialysis. Okay, so a significant proportion of our population is being affected by a lot of these illnesses related to what we call lifestyle diseases. I know we're taking a holistic view on health. It's important for us to know that when we do not pay attention to our health, we are disregarding God's temple, right? Remember, the Bible tells us that our temple, our bodies are the temple of the living God. All right. There's a lot of information here, but I'll just move quickly to the main aspect of the topic. All right. So when we look at nutrition, there is a spectrum to what we eat as individuals, ranging from a fully carnivorous type of diet, meaning you just eat meat, to a fully vegetarian diet, and in between there's a spectrum. So there are some individuals who, they have varying degrees of vegetables, plus they eat meat, or they may cut off red meat and they may eat white meat such as fish and chicken, and 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 then the other end of the spectrum is where there's no meat at all in the diet, and you focus basically on the Eden diet. I'm not sure if many of you are aware that in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve were only given by the Creator directly from his hands when he made them. He gave them fruits, um, peas and beans and nuts for their diet. Okay? It was only after the flood that vegetables were added. I'm not sure if many of us are aware of that. So in the Garden of Eden, the ideal diet that God gave Adam and Eve for their sustenance and their well-being was a vegetarian diet. No vegetables were involved, by the way. Right? It was fruits and vegetables, peas and beans, and nuts. And researchers have shown, over the years and in every society, that individuals who focus their diet on the Eden diet are better off in the long run. Our diet must be balanced. Each meal that we partake of, it must contain the seven basic nutrients, right? I know some people classify foods in terms of food from animals, food from plants, and that sort of thing. But I'm telling you now, and there are many individuals who are living proof that you can survive and actually survive optimally, right, without having meat in your diet at all, right? So we're going to focus on the nutrients in terms of, the basic nutrients that you should partake of in your diet. Everybody know about carbohydrates, okay? Most of us, we have too much carbs each day. Dr. Price did earlier a carb counting, all right? Where she used the hand and simple methods to kind of determine how much carbs you're taking in your diet each time. So we need to focus on, the excessive intake of carbs. We all need proteins in our diet for muscles and various metabolic processes in the body. Fats, your vitamins, minerals, water, we included as a part of the basic nutrients, and of course, fiber. We must emphasize again that the ideal diet is a vegetarian-based diet. It's a diet of the Creator. It's a diet from Eden, and it's a diet that researchers have found to be most beneficial to better quality of life and better quantity of life. Many of you might have been aware of what we call the blue zones of the world. And in all of these blue zones, right? Blue zones are areas of the world where people live. They have the most centenarians, that is people who live to 100 and beyond. And these people are driving their cars, right? They are exercising, they're going to the supermarket, and they're totally healthy. Okay, and what they find to be constant in these 5 blue zones, when you go, you can Google it. is the fact that these persons eat a predominantly vegetarian-based diet, right? In terms of a meat-based diet, because of the inflammatory or pro-inflammatory nature of meat, right? The high fat content, you know, stuff in the meat that promotes senescence and decay. It shortens your lifespan. If you think about animals in nature, the largest animals, you know, a lot of people who are not so wise, you know, they would say to you, oh, you're a vegetarian. How are you going to survive? You're going to be unhealthy and that sort of thing. Eh? But what they don't understand that the largest animals in the world are vegetarians. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. So the giraffe is a vegetarian. The hippopotamus, the elephant, right? In the sea, the blue whale, right? The largest whale in the bottom of the sea, is a vegetarian. Okay, so the meat diet, it shortens your lifespan. The risk of cancers of all types is significantly increased the more meat you have, flesh you have in your diet. Of course, there's increased risk of cardiovascular disease. I know it's a cardiovascular, we're talking about the heart and the blood vessels. There's increased risk of diabetes, kidney disease, kidney failure, um, cholesterol and metabolic disease, high cholesterol problem, and there's an increased risk of problems associated with constipation, which increase your risk of bowel cancers. Of course, a vegetarian diet must be planned. You must do it gradually. It must be well researched. It must be guided. There are people who have concerns about B12 and protein, and I'm sure Dr. Price has spoken to you about the fact that there's actually no concerns about protein. You can get your full complement of protein from a balanced vegetarian diet. And of course, B12, you can get that from a number of sources, including nutritional yeast, without having to eat meat to get your vegetarian diet from. And of course, your vegetarian diet has God's blessing. All right. Remember when the Hebrew boys went and they were being forced to eat the king's meat, which consists of a lot of meat and pig and a lot of stuff like that. And they said, no, we're going to eat pulse, which is a bean, right? And water. And the Lord blessed them, by virtue of them being obedient to his clear principles. All right, so when we look at the first one, we talk about carbohydrates. I'm encouraging us when we have our carbohydrates to make sure that they are of the complex type. Okay, so complex carbohydrates are carbohydrates that are found in, ground provisions, right? So a simple carb would be like a slice of cake, a box of juice, stuff that has a lot of low, simple sugars in it. The carbohydrates that God make, right? That's the ones under the earth or grow on tree that tend to be more complex carbohydrate. When you eat those things, it releases the sugars in your body gradually, as opposed to a massive increase in simple sugars in the blood, and that reduces your risk of developing diabetes later. In addition to that, your complex carbohydrates has a lot of fiber, right? So you eat your food, you get your carbs, but you get a lot of fiber with it that stimulates bowel movement and remove toxins. You have to remove toxins from your body, right? Carbohydrates must be had in moderation. Most of us are having too much carbs, and that is what puts us at risk for developing obesity and obesity-related problems, right? Of course, your complex carbohydrates are also loaded with vitamins and minerals, right? Plus, it's loaded with fibers and what we call phytochemicals. Phytochemicals are things that give natural foods their color, their scent, and different flavors in them. And God put these things in foods to promote good health. All right, a lot of the phytochemicals found in plants naturally help to build immunity and help to fight disease processes, including cancer. Protein, similarly, try and increase your protein from plants as opposed to animal-based proteins. Okay, so your plant-based proteins, such as your peas and your beans and your nuts, right? Of course, you need to have your nuts in moderation because you can have a lot of fat content in those good fats, but at the same time, even good things must be had in moderation, right? So try and reduce. You're a meat eater, reduce the intake of proteins from meat. The other thing is that a lot of us are having too much protein. So you're eating your chicken, and you're having a half a chicken, or a chicken leg and a breast and a thigh, right, at one meal. What we find is that if you're exposed to a lot of protein in your diet over time, it puts extra stress on the what we call the glomerulus, the little units in your kidney, that filters and deals with the protein, and you end up developing problems and ultimate kidney failure if you have a high intake, especially of meat-based protein in your diet. Just some little tidbits about your nutrition. We encourage everyone. So you might hear about a lot of diets that, fat diets that people tell you must eat right throughout the day, every 2 hours, small amounts, and that sort of thing. That is not a physiological process, right? It's not to be encouraged. What we encourage is that you eat your meal and leave at least 5 to 6 hours between each meal. Okay, so when you have your breakfast in the morning, we say that you should eat like a king. We heard that earlier. Your largest meal is supposed to be in the morning, not in the evening for supper. Most of us were guilty of that, right? Some of us, we don't have any appetite for food in the morning, but we have to develop the appetite because your largest meal is supposed to be in the morning. What we have found is that individuals who practice that pattern, they develop less obesity, less stress, less diabetes, and that sort of thing. Leave 5 to 6 hours between your meals. So your next meal is supposed to be lunch, right? So if you eat breakfast about 5 to 6 hours, you have lunch, and we encourage you not to have not even a sweetie in between your meal, right? And then your next meal is supposed to be supper, and that is also variable. So not everybody needs to have supper. As you get older, younger children, need to have more calories and that sort of thing. As you get older, you approach 40, 50, you actually don't need to have that 3 meals a day. Okay, you'll find that just having 2 good meals, and having something very light, in the evening, that will suffice. So leave 5 to 6 hours between your meal. That is important because your body needs to make, the enzymes, and it's a very complex process, the digestive process. So you need to make all of these things to replenish them, to prepare for the next meal. If you keep on eating throughout the day, the fact of the matter is that even if you eat a little peanut between your meals, your body treats it like a whole meal and send out the whole barrage of enzymes and stuff to digest that, and you end up with not having a strong digestive system for the subsequent meal. We do not encourage drinking with your meal, right? So if you have to drink an hour or so before your meal, right? The drinking cause a dilutional effect. It's impaired the digestive process. It causes fermentation, right? So we encourage you to, try and have your drink before the meal. Traditionally, we eat and drink, we eat and sip. That is not what we encourage individuals to do. We talk about eating raw already, right? So try and eat fresh raw food at each meal, right? Try and aim for 50 to 75% of your diet being fresh raw foods. And You know, you might think raw food, boy, I can't eat raw food, but vegetable, you know, is a raw food, right? Cabbage, um, you know, you cut up cabbage in a bowl, that's a raw food. Fruits are raw foods, right? So try and make a significant portion of your food raw. And Dr. Price explained to you earlier about the benefits of that raw food. It has in natural enzymes, it has in live active processes that promote health of your body, mind, and soul. Do not chew gum, right? Gum chewing does the same thing like if you have a peanut between your meal. So basically, you eat your breakfast, you're chewing your gum in between, your body immediately send impulses to your stomach to say, hey, food is coming down. All right. So when that happens, your body sends out a lot of enzymes, a lot of acid, a lot of stuff to digest the food, and you end up breaking down the lining of your stomach, and you know end up getting ulcers, indigestion, and lots of problems like those. Try not to eat a heavy meal just before bedtime. Leave about 4 hours between eating your last meal to going to bed. Okay. And do not eat when you're hurried or upset or anxious. You might find that if you're hurrying to eat, after a while you feel a little upset stomach, indigestion, and that sort of thing. It's not recommended. It's best if, you know, especially if you're tired, you come home and you're very tired, don't sit and gulp down the large plate of food. Take some time and rest first. Drink a cup of water, go to rest, and have the meal probably in the morning. Right? When you're tired and overwhelmed, your body is not going to deal with the food properly. You're going to end up with a lot of gastrointestinal problems, upsets. Eat food that is plain and simple. Right? Use recipes with few ingredients in them. And I can't overemphasize this one. A lot of stuff that we have out that people are putting as food is dangerous. I mean, I see even some of the things that they're promoting as vegetarian food. I see stuff like propylene glycol, you know, and dangerous stuff like those, which, you know, they will say is FDA approved, but they have significant um, effect or ill effect on our health. What we usually say is that if you're eating your food or you buy something at the store and it has in more than three main ingredients, four or probably five, you need to be careful of those, right? Sometimes most of the stuff that we're eating these days is 50 ingredients, and most of them are not food, right? They are colorings, and they are, you know, these things that are pro-inflammatory to our bodies, and a lot of them are cancer causing. Spicy food should not be, you should avoid, you know, spicy, excessively spicy foods, right? So, you know, black and white pepper, MSG. Um, Dr. Price will talk to you about vinegar. There are different types of vinegar and that sort of thing, but reduce the, you know, the spicy food. MSG is called monosodium glutamate. It's a cancer causing agent. So a lot of times you will read your label and you see, uh, you don't see MSG written, but what they write is monosodium glutamate is the same MSG, and it has been found to be cancer causing. So get into the habit of reading your labels and determining what is appropriate and proper for you. So eat plenty of green leafy vegetables, fresh raw fruits, raw seeds, legumes, peas and beans, and whole grains. Right? Those contain a lot of antioxidants, you know, healthy proteins, a lot of fiber, and those are what is going to help you to maintain good health. Don't chop and swallow, as we say in Jamaica. So eat your food slowly, chew your food thoroughly, okay, and you will get the optimal benefit from an appropriate digestive process. So if you know don't chew the food properly and send it down into the stomach, the digestive process is impaired. You get a lot of fermentation, a lot of stasis inside the stomach, and you end up with a lot of digestive issues, and a lot of toxins being produced from the food, which you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. This is one that many people don't like to hear about, but we encourage people to fast at least one day per week. Dr. Price spoke about fasting earlier, right? I mean, you've got now wealth of information about fasting and its benefits to individuals. Okay, remember, you don't have to do a complete fast. You know a lot about fasting from the lectures. You can do a partial fast. You can do a fruit fast. You can do a vegetable juice fast. You can skip a meal or skip 2 meals, and that sort of thing. But it's encouraged that you fast at least once per week. They have done a lot of research. God introduced fasting, right? And you know why he did. Not just for religious or spiritual purposes, but it has physical life-giving benefits as well. They did some research on human beings who fasted regularly. And what they found is that they did their blood test before fasting and they did the blood test after fasting. And what they find is that the liver in the persons who didn't fast secrete a growth hormone, right? And beta HCG. Okay, so it secretes these things that when they that they find to cause cancer cells to grow. Okay, so the persons who fasted, when they tested their blood, these growth factors, these cancer causing growth factors, they drop significantly when the individuals fast. All right, so fasting has very important effects, prevention of cancer. It actually is a powerful cancer killing method, right? So what they find is that cancer cells need a lot of energy and a lot of glucose to grow. And what we find is that if individuals fast, the cancer cells die quicker than normal cells, and you can actually reduce the number of cancer cells in your body by simply fasting on a regular basis. Caffeine has become a way of life for many individuals. We are asking you to avoid, irrespective of what you read about caffeine and its benefits and whatnot, avoid caffeinated beverages. A cup of coffee contains about 85 milligrams of caffeine. However, something that we don't usually think about a lot is a cup of chocolate tea, right? Which has up to 112 milligrams of caffeine, right? Of course, Pepsi, sodas, and stuff like that also have a lot of caffeine. Your energy drinks are loaded with caffeine. And green tea, you see a lot of people promoting green tea as a lot of benefits and that sort of thing. What they don't do is don't tell you about the bad effects, right? So yes, you might get some benefits, but they don't tell you about what the danger it causes to your body. So we're encouraged to avoid caffeinated beverages. They are not good for our health, not good for your heart. For those who drink coffee, you'll notice when you drink the coffee, your heart race. It can cause what we call arrhythmias and can cause clot formation inside your body. I think the other slide, probably not there. Yes, it's there. You might not be aware that if you are pregnant and you drink a caffeinated beverage, it can cause your unborn baby to develop birth defects. Right? His brain to be damaged and him to become, retarded and in a bad state by caffeine being exposed to the baby in utero. Caffeine has been associated with some form of cancers, right? We talk about the heart effects. It can cause behavioral problems. It can cause depression, irritability, and anxiety. And it can also be associated with tension, headache. All right, to remove caffeine from your diet. Fibrocystic disease, which is a condition that affects the uterus in women, it can be caused by caffeine. Caffeine is in itself addictive. It's a stimulant. If you're dehydrated, caffeine can make the dehydration even worse. It can also cause osteoporosis, which is thinning of your bone and can cause fractures. And it has also been associated with ulcers. Quickly, as we move to water, we encourage 68 glasses of water per day. Every single organ of your body is basically made of water. Even your bone is made up of 22% water. All right. So your brain itself is mainly water. We are basically water in our consistency. All right. So if we need to nourish our bodies with adequate amount of water, every single system. Sometimes you come home and you're having a headache, you have a muscle twitch, your kidneys not working properly and getting kidney stones. The solution is an adequate amount of water every day. If you can't drink the water, you think you might have a problem consuming the water, just pour in a pitcher or some container the water that you need for the day, travel around with it and make sure you have that amount for the day. All right. Don't wait until you're thirsty before you drink, because when you're thirsty, your body is already 5% dehydrated. All right. So you might read somewhere where people say, oh, wait until you're thirsty. You're already gone into deficit if you wait until you're thirsty to drink. When you drink a lot of water or enough water, it prevents headache, it reduces constipation, it reduces kidney stone, and bowel cancer is significantly reduced by having adequate amount of water. And of course, it promotes healthy, vibrant skin that the ladies like. All right, let's go over this one. Okay, so let's move quickly to rest. We're moving across New Start, and we are at rest. So we did nutrition, and we're at rest. Sleep rebuilds the cells of your body and all major organs, including your bone marrow, your stomach, and muscle needs rest. Every single cells in your body needs adequate rest. Sleep refreshes the brain. Sleep chases away fatigue, and it enhances the cleansing process of the blood and the lymph. All right, so the lymph is very important. Okay, the lymph is very important. All right, I think I have the wrong presentation. I'm very sorry, I left out a major part of it. But let's just talk about the other part. So we said rest is very important for the brain. What they found is that individuals who got adequate rest, we find that when individuals go to sleep, and we encourage sleeping by 9:30, right? So we're up a little late ourselves, but we encourage individuals to sleep 9:30, okay, is a recommended time for you to go to sleep, and wake up early in the morning. Individuals who go to sleep later than this, after 12 and stuff, it affects their body in negative ways, right? So what we find is that when they did some research on the flow of fluid around the brain and the repair process in the brain, when individuals go to sleep by 9:30, there's a repair process that is initiated that doesn't occur adequately if you go to bed after 12. All right. So it refreshes the brain, it reduces the risk of Alzheimer's, it reduces the risk of memory loss, dementia, and stuff like that. It rebuilds and refreshes your body in significant ways. Right? The next one is exercise. Okay, so exercise is very important for our health. All right. Remember, we said the New Start program is not just about nutrition and what you eat, it's fully putting all of it together. It's your nutrition, it's your exercise, and all seven laws of health. what we found is that individuals, they did a little research with some people who smoke, and they found that a vegetarian, right? Some of the Rastafarians, a vegetarian who smokes end up being better off in terms of their risk factors for various diseases than a non-vegetarian who exercise. Okay, so exercise is very important as an adjunct, as a part of the whole system of health. All right, so you don't have to go to the gym to exercise. We encourage 30 minutes of exercise 5 days a week at least. Okay, so 30 minutes of exercise at least 5 days of week, 5 days a week. So that is 150 minutes of exercise for the week. Okay, this may be in the form of activities around the house, right? So cleaning the house itself, add, it can be counted as a part of your exercise for the day. Sweeping the yard, right? Washing, most people don't wash anymore, right? It's washing machine does all the washing, okay? But actual washing with your hands is very significant additive exercise to your system, all right? Walking is good exercise, okay? And you can buy back some exercise by, just doing some basic things. Park your car for those who drive, instead of you parking your car right under your door, the door of your business place, you may park a little away and walk, right? Use the stairs, instead of using the what they call it, the escalator, right? Or the elevator. Okay. So use the stairs. Skipping is good exercise, right? So we encourage individuals to do their exercise and make it as a part of your lifestyle changes. Individuals who exercise, they live on average 5 to 10 years longer, right? With less cardiovascular and heart and kidney disease than those individuals who don't exercise. Okay, so we encourage exercise as a part of your daily activity. Exercise does a number of things. Okay, exercise it lowers your cholesterol, right? So what we call your LDH and your HDL, those are good cholesterol, bad cholesterol. So it lowers the bad cholesterol and increase the good cholesterol by just exercising. And therefore it reduces your risk of getting a heart attack, right? It lowers your risk of cancer, especially colon and breast cancer. So individuals who exercise on a regular basis, their risk of these cancers are reduced significantly. It lowers the levels of insulin in your body, right? Excess insulin in your body actually promotes cancer, this the growth of cancer cells. For especially, older people, a lot of your doctors will give you calcium supplements, right? To build your bone. And one of the most effective way to strengthen bone, right, is to exercise. Because what happens is that when you exercise, you put pressure on the bone, the muscles pull on the bone, and the bone reacts by producing stronger bone. Right? When you just take the calcium supplements, all it does is build up what you call it, calcium stones inside your kidney. So a lot of us will end up with stones in our kidneys, and it's because of all of that excess calcium supplements that we're taking, and all we need to do is to eat a healthy diet and exercise, and that in itself will increase your bone cells. It reduces your risk of diabetes, of course. Fat buildup, in yourselves interferes with and promotes diabetes formation. In your brain, it promotes the formation of what is called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And these factors, when you exercise, your brain secrete these factors, and it promotes growth and survival of brain cells. All right. So, individuals who want, better memory, a sharper brain, less Alzheimer's, less dementia, and that sort of thing, exercise promote these special hormones inside your brain, which promotes your brain um, functioning optimally. Of course, we know about weight loss, right? Exercise actually helps, individuals to lose weight and to promote a better quality of life and health. Okay. Sunlight, as we come to an end, is very important. We might say in Jamaica that we have enough sun, but what they have found by research is that a lot of persons living in the tropics, where sun is replete everywhere, are deficient in vitamin D. I'm sure that you have heard. I'm sure that you have heard from Dr. Fauci in the US that vitamin D is very important in as a fight against COVID-19. Vitamin D is made in the skin when it's exposed to sunlight. And it's individuals, a lot of individuals with breast cancer, when they do their test, they found that a lot of them are deficient in vitamin D. All right. And here what? In the tropics, as much as 50% of individuals in some instances are deficient in vitamin D. You know why? We lock up inside of our houses, right? We don't go outside to get adequate sun exposure. We drive in our cars, right? And we pull up the windows, okay? And sun don't penetrate windows very well to act on our skin. We go into our offices afterwards, and we lock up in the office in air condition and that sort of thing. And at the end of the day, we end up having vitamin D deficiency, and it puts us at risk for getting cancers, right? And ill health and various viruses and that sort of thing, right? So we need to ensure that, we expose ourselves adequately. 15 minutes, not too much sun, because we know that it will put us at risk for skin cancers. So you go out early in the morning, right? And probably late in the evening when the sun is not at its height and high, and that will help you to make enough vitamin D to strengthen your immune system and to give you a healthier general response. We'd like to end by talking about temperance. All right, so the next thing we have to talk about is temperance. In everything that we do, we must be temperate. Okay, so if you're eating eating, you need to eat. We talk about eating enough carbohydrates, but not excessive amount. Do you know that if you eat too much vitamin A, right? So a lot of people taking supplements and stuff. If you take too much vitamin A supplements, it can actually damage your eye, even though vitamin A is good for your eyes. All right. So exercise. Some people over exercise, exercising for 2-3 hours for the day, every day of the week. It can damage your joint and damage your system, and your musculoskeletal system can be affected. All right. So in everything, we need to be temperate in all things as we approach, healthy living and healthy lifestyle. And in terms of temperance, we need to do it right across the board. Finally, we talk about trust in God. We need to have trust and dependence on, the Creator. Many of us, we have what we serve God, in our different ways. Okay, but having a supreme being that we trust, that we depend on. Okay, understanding that God created us, He made us, trusting in Him and giving ourselves completely and fully to Him has been found to be life giving, in addition to to all the other things that we spoke about earlier. All right, so all right, so at this time I'm going to I'm on mute. Sorry about that. So at this time, we're going to take questions or comments. Anybody have any questions that you would like to ask or any comments that you would like to make? You can go ahead and make your comments at this point. Hmm?
Good night. I'm asking a question on behalf of my daughter. She has, well, it's not confirmed, but she's been treated for type 1 diabetes and she's administering insulin injections. Is this cancer forming? Am I being heard?
Give me 1 second. We're having a little challenge. Give me a second. All right. You can go ahead now.
Okay, yes. My question was based on the presentation. I am totally for New Start program, but I'm trying to, convince my daughter that this is a better way. She is on insulin and she's been treated for type 1 diabetes. So is the administering of insulin a risk factor for cancer?
All right. Okay. So your daughter have type 1 diabetes. It therefore means that she has a situation where
So it's unconfirmed. She's been treated for it, but she's waiting. She's supposed to do a test to confirm whether. But currently, we are using the New Start program, and her levels of insulin has been reduced significantly. But over time, she's been taking it. The question is she at risk by taking the insulin injections?
Right. So as far as I'm aware, there is no studies which have indicated an increased risk for cancers in individuals who take insulin. The fact of the matter is that if you indeed have type 1 diabetes and you do not take your insulin, you are going to end up in serious problems, right? Type 1 diabetes is a little different from type 2. Type 2 is the one that is most effective. Our New Start program is the one that is most effective in preventing type 2 diabetes. That said, in type 1 diabetes, a lot of the factors which promote damage to the beta cells, which are the cells that produce insulin in the type 1 diabetes, a lot of the factors are related to diet and exposure to certain infectious agents. So one significant thing that can be done, in retrospect, is that young children are, as much as possible, avoid cow's milk. Okay, so if you go on Google and you do your research, you'll find that a significant risk factor for developing type 1 diabetes is cow's milk ingestion. All right, so I would, encourage until continue with your New Start program, continue using all the natural remedies and stuff, but at the same time, continue with your insulin until the diagnosis is complete. If you have type 2 diabetes, the New Start will definitely help. And a lot of times you can actually come off insulin or come off your diabetic medication by just following a New Start program related to that. I hope
Thank
I
you very
answered the
much.
question.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thanks.
All right. Any further questions? All right. Okay, so let me just quickly point out a couple of other things as we close off, right? Um, Parents, I'm encouraging you to start the New Start program with your children from early, right? I'm happy for my sister, the Sister Brown, who spoke a while ago, who seemed very enthusiastic and about the health of her child, and have started the New Start for her child. What we find is that sugar, most children are having too much sugar in their diet, and I want us to start from very early, from intrauterine, when the baby's inside the belly, to start looking at your the sugar intake and the diet, for your children from very early on. What we found is that cutting down sugar in a child's diet just for 9 days, right? It reduces the blood pressure of the children by 4.5%. And I'm a pediatrician, and in my practice, we're seeing children coming in with hypertension. I have 18 children at the hospital that I work with diabetes, both type 1 and type 2. We have children with cholesterol problems that we have to put on cholesterol and blood pressure medication, right? So just cutting down sugar in a child's diet, it reduces the child's blood pressure by 4.3%. It reduces cholesterol. Lots of children are coming down with high cholesterol problems by 12.5%, and that's a significant drop. These are the bad cholesterol. Triglycerides, 46%. And of course, insulin, right? Excess insulin that builds up in the body when you have extra fat, it reduced by 53%. Okay, so I encourage you to have your children start the program from very early. You know what? I came across a research, some time ago, where we had some children who died from different stuff, so they died from being hit down on the road, and then they did post-mortem on these children. And do you know what they found inside these small children blood vessels as young as 2-year-old? They found plaque formation, right? Very small children, 1-2-year-old, start forming plaque. They start having a heart attack from their 1. Right? So a lot of parents, when you think that, I'm giving them a snack and we're giving them a lot of high sugar juices, we actually don't encourage juice drinking, right? So most of us, we have it in our head that juice is healthy. So we go to the supermarket and we stock up, the supermarket tray with boxes of these juices, and it's the worst thing you can do for your children. What we encourage you to do is to give them the actual fruit to eat and let them drink water. God didn't make any juice at all, if you think about it. Right? The only juice that God made that I can think about is coconut water. Right? And it's a reason why God did not do this. So give your children the actual fruit to eat. It contains less calories. One bottle of juice contains up to 4 to 6 teaspoons of sugar, as opposed to one fruit that may have a teaspoon or 2 of sugar, right? And sugar is really what is killing our population, or one of the things that is killing our population. We see this slide: 1 in 3 children are obese. This is international data, right? 1 in 3.
and that's a serious risk. Look at these. Look at the sugar content in some of our juices, right? A bottle of orange juice up the top. You know, it's almost 10 teaspoons of sugar, right? When you look at a bottle of what is that now? Like one of those tin juice, that's almost 7, 8, 9.5 teaspoons of sugar. Okay, so you are exposing your child to excess risk, you know, by exposing them to these high sugar meal. All right. That is a heart, you know, invested in fat. Okay, that is what your heart look like, you know, when you do not exercise. This is what we're talking about in small children. This slide shows you a heart attack developing. Right, so the middle one, the blood vessel is almost totally blocked off. In the top one, right, or the bottom one, it's totally blocked off, and in the top one, it's nearly blocked off, right? So that is what we call plaque formation, and it starts in small children. When these blood vessels around the heart get totally blocked off, you're going to get a heart attack, all right? Serious problems. I'd like to mention something called phytochemicals. Phytochemicals, as I briefly mentioned earlier, are stuff that are contained in foods, right? So foods that, and they're very good anti-inflammatory stuff. They are anti-aging stuff. They prevent damage to your DNA, and damage to DNA is what causes cancer in a lot of cases. And they actually reduce cancer development. So God made these chemicals that are called phytochemicals. You can read up on it some more. And there are over 15,000 of these small chemicals inside food. So that's why I encourage you to eat the complex food, things from the tree, things from under the ground, and less things from bags, right? Because God put these things inside the food to actually heal your bodies. I'm going to just end with the phytochemical. I don't want to keep you beyond 9:30 because we talk about getting to bed early. Grapes, right? And you can use the color of the fruits to determine the phytochemical in them. So if you have red fruits, red vegetables, they're actually having a specific type of phytochemical, right? The orange fruits and orange vegetables, they have another type of phytochemicals, right? These are called carotenoids, right? So most fruits and vegetables that are yellow, mango, cantaloupe, oranges, pumpkin, peaches, they have carotenoid. The yellow ones, that we talked about a while ago, they're helping healing cuts, helping inflammation, helping circulation. So God color code stuff, so that it can help. But it's helping in terms of preventing colds. So that is why your grandmother used to say, if you're having a cold, you should take some orange, right? Eat the orange itself. Orange juice is not the best. The actual orange itself. Green stuff, avocado, kiwi, asparagus, they contain a specific type of phytochemical called sulforaphanes and indoles, and those things are strong anti-cancer agents, right? So don't fight on the vegetarian diet, right? And talk about it tastes bad and it whatnot. The Lord has put these things inside the things to protect us, and if we eat them, in the way that we are advised to, that you are being told on a weekly basis by Dr. Price, you cannot go wrong, right? The greenish white ones, such as what's the name of that? Garlic, right? Garlic is a strong anti-inflammatory, antiviral agent. So those whitish, greenish ones, banana, pears, mushroom, right? They are found to have strong antifungal, antibacterial. They're like antibiotics, right? And most of the things that people use as antiviral when you have a cold and flu, they contain some form of garlic in them. And garlic contains something called allicin, these greenish white vegetables and foods, and allium, and those are antifungal and anti-inflammatory. They actually kill cancer cells. The blue ones, right? So you know, you talk about stuff like blackberry, blueberry, eggplant, figs, purple grapes, the blue purplish looking ones. God color code them to tell us that we need those because they are good antioxidants, they are good anti-agents, they're good in terms of memory, and they're good in terms of heart health. They're also good to fight urinary tract infection, and I'm sure many of you can apply to this. When you have a UTI, most people tell you that you must drink what? What you must drink? Anybody?
Cranberry.
Cranberry juice, right? So what they find is that the bluish, purplish fruits and vegetables, they coat inside of your bladder and actually help to prevent UTIs, urinary tract infection and stuff like that. Isn't God a great God? He has placed colors in foods, you know, to direct us to the approach. Some of these things we can't even call their names, right? Because they're so complex. These are some of the phytochemicals. That's what they look like, right? Very complex thing. I can't even pronounce some of these, right? But God put colors to them. What a wonderful God we serve. So that we can be directed to different colors, you know, to promote health. And that is why Grandma used to say, when you're eating your vegetables, mix up different colors. Because when you mix the colors, you get different you know, different types of phytochemicals which help to protect your bodies in different ways. All right, so I want to thank you very much. If there are no further questions and comments, if anybody with any further comments or questions at this time, if not, we'll send you home to get a good rest, to sleep well, right? And to refresh and revitalize and to prepare for next week. Any further comments, questions, clarification?
Come back next week.
All right, so I want to thank you so much. Any questions, guys? All right, thank you so much, and please have a good night and see you next week. Please invite a friend to join. And next week, Dr. Price will be looking at part 2 of your live food diet, right? Remember, we mentioned a lot of the live foods. Please come prepared for that. So thank you very much. Take